Hey everyone! Welcome to B&B Glow. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love B&B Glow, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. In the dramatic and emotionally charged world of The Bold and the Beautiful, few moments have left viewers as stunned and heartbroken as the tragic death of Luna, whose final words to Steffi carried a weight that resonated long after her passing. The scene was a masterclass in tension and sorrow, as Luna, overwhelmed by the turmoil in her life, uttered 5 devastating words that would haunt Steffi and the audience forever. The lead-up to this moment was a carefully crafted narrative of betrayal, secrets, and emotional unraveling, with Luna's character being pushed to the brink by circumstances that seemed insurmountable. Her relationship with Steffi had always been complicated, a mix of mentorship, rivalry, and deep, unspoken understanding, but in those final moments, it became clear just how much Luna had been suffering in silence. The 5 words she spoke were not just a goodbye but a revelation, a key to understanding the pain she had been carrying, and they left Steffi reeling, her face a portrait of shock and guilt as she realized the role she may have played in Luna's despair. The aftermath of Luna's suicide sent shockwaves through the lives of every character on the show, with Steffi bearing the heaviest burden, as she replayed those final moments over and over, wondering if she could have done something to change the outcome. The writers of The Bold and the Beautiful have never shied away from tackling heavy themes, but this storyline was particularly poignant, exploring the devastating consequences of mental health struggles, the weight of unspoken truths, and the ripple effects of a single, irreversible decision. Luna's death was not just a plot twist but a commentary on the fragility of life and the importance of reaching out to those who may be silently struggling. The emotional impact was amplified by the performances of the actors, who brought raw vulnerability to their roles, making the tragedy feel all the more real. Fans of the show took to social media to express their grief and disbelief, with many praising the storyline for its bravery while others debated the ethical implications of such a dark turn in a soap opera known for its escapism. The fallout from Luna's death was immediate and far-reaching, with characters grappling with guilt, anger, and sorrow in ways that felt deeply human. Steffi, in particular, was forced to confront her own actions and the part she may have played in Luna's downward spiral, leading to some of the most powerful scenes in the show's recent history. The writers did not shy away from showing the messy, complicated emotions that follow a suicide, avoiding easy answers or simplistic resolutions in favor of a more nuanced exploration of grief. Luna's absence left a void in the lives of those who knew her, and the show took its time in depicting how each character processed the loss, from denial to anger to eventual acceptance. The tragedy also sparked important conversations among viewers about mental health awareness, with many fans sharing their own experiences and urging others to seek help if they were struggling. The 5 words Luna spoke to Steffi became a kind of cultural touchstone, a shorthand for the moment everything changed, and they were analyzed and dissected in online forums and fan theories, with viewers searching for hidden meanings or clues about what could have been done differently. The storyline was a risk for The Bold and the Beautiful, as it ventured into darker territory than usual, but it paid off in terms of emotional depth and character development, proving that even in the world of over-the-top drama and glamour, there is room for stories that resonate on a deeply human level. Luna's death was a reminder that behind the scheming, the romances, and the power struggles, these characters are ultimately flawed, vulnerable people, capable of immense pain and profound love. The show's handling of the aftermath was respectful and thoughtful, avoiding sensationalism while still delivering the high-stakes drama that fans expect. In the weeks and months that followed, Luna's memory continued to influence the actions of those she left behind, with her death serving as a catalyst for change in several characters' lives. Steffi, especially, was forever altered by the experience, her hardened exterior giving way to a more compassionate, introspective version of herself. The tragedy also brought certain characters closer together, while driving others apart, as grief has a way of revealing the true nature of relationships. The writers used Luna's death as a way to explore themes of redemption, forgiveness, and the enduring impact of our choices, weaving these ideas into the larger tapestry of the show's ongoing narratives. Even as new storylines emerged, the shadow of Luna's final words lingered, a ghost at the feast, a reminder of what was lost and what could have been. The Bold and the Beautiful has always been a show about love, betrayal, and the complexities of human relationships, but this storyline elevated it to something more, a meditation on the consequences of our actions and the importance of empathy in a world that can often feel cruel and unforgiving. Luna's death was not just a plot device but a turning point for the show, a moment that challenged both the characters and the audience to reflect on their own lives and the ways in which they interact with those around them. The 5 words she spoke to Steffi will go down in the show's history as one of its most unforgettable moments, a heartbreaking crescendo in a story that was as much about the living as it was about the dead. In the end, Luna's tragedy was a call to action, a plea for kindness and understanding in a world that can sometimes feel unbearably heavy, and it's a message that will continue to resonate long after the final scene has faded to black. The Bold and the Beautiful has never been afraid to take risks, but this storyline was something special, a perfect storm of writing, acting, and emotional truth that left an indelible mark on everyone who witnessed it. Luna may be gone, but her legacy lives on in the hearts of the characters and the fans who loved her, a reminder of the power of storytelling to move us, challenge us, and, ultimately, change us. The weight of those 5 words, so simple yet so devastating, hung in the air like a storm about to break, leaving Steffi frozen in place as Luna's tear-filled eyes met hers one last time. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark contrast to the usual high-energy drama of the Forrester mansion, where heated confrontations and passionate declarations were commonplace. But this moment was different. This was real, raw, and irreversible. The way Luna's voice trembled, the way her hands shook as she turned away, it was as if she had already made peace with her decision, leaving Steffi to grapple with the crushing realization that she had missed the signs, that she had been too wrapped up in her own battles to see the depth of Luna's despair. The seconds stretched into eternity before the inevitable happened, and by then, it was too late. The aftermath was chaos, screams, frantic phone calls, the arrival of paramedics who moved with a grim efficiency that suggested they already knew the outcome. But for Steffi, time seemed to stop. All she could hear were those 5 words, echoing in her mind like a relentless accusation, a final message that Luna had chosen her to deliver it to, for reasons she couldn't yet understand. The days that followed were a blur of grief and guilt, with Steffi vacillating between numbness and uncontrollable rage. How could she not have seen it? How could she have been so blind? The questions tormented her, replaying every interaction, every conversation, searching for the moment she could have intervened. The rest of the Forresters and Spencers were no better off, each processing the tragedy in their own way, some with quiet sorrow, others with loud, angry outbursts, demanding answers that would never come. Ridge, ever the patriarch, tried to hold the family together, but even his usual commanding presence couldn't stifle the suffocating weight of loss. Brooke, usually the voice of reason, found herself at a loss for words, her usual optimism crushed under the reality of what had happened. Thomas, who had always shared a complicated bond with Luna, was consumed by regret, wondering if his own manipulations had contributed to her downward spiral. Even Sheila, the show's perennial villain, seemed shaken, her usual scheming momentarily paused as the gravity of the situation settled over everyone. But it was Steffi who bore the brunt of the emotional fallout. Those 5 words had been a confession, a condemnation, or perhaps even a plea, she still wasn't sure. And the ambiguity made it worse. Had Luna been blaming her? Was it a warning? Or had it been a desperate cry for help, one that Steffi had failed to answer in time? The uncertainty gnawed at her, fueling nightmares where she relived that moment over and over, each time waking in a cold sweat, her heart pounding as if she could somehow rewrite the past if she just tried hard enough. Finn, ever the supportive husband, did his best to anchor her, but even his steady presence couldn't fully pull her out of the darkness. His medical background made him all too aware of the warning signs of depression, and he couldn't help but wonder, had there been clues they'd all overlooked? The show didn't offer easy answers, instead choosing to sit in the discomfort of grief, allowing the characters, and the audience, to sit with the harsh truth that sometimes, despite everyone's best efforts, tragedy strikes without warning. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of Luna's death spread beyond the Forrester family. Characters who had only been tangentially connected to her found themselves questioning their own lives, their own choices. Hope, who had always seen Luna as a rival in some ways, was forced to confront her own past mistakes, realizing how quickly misunderstandings could spiral into irreversible consequences. Liam, ever the overthinker, became obsessed with the idea of what if, torturing himself with scenarios where a single different decision could have changed everything. Even Bill, usually so self-assured, seemed shaken, his usual bravado replaced by a rare moment of introspection. The writers used Luna's death as a catalyst for deeper character exploration, forcing everyone to reassess their priorities, their grudges, and their relationships. And then there were the fans. The reaction was immediate and intense, with social media exploding in a mix of outrage, heartbreak, and praise for the show's bold storytelling. Some viewers criticized the storyline for being too dark, arguing that soap operas should remain an escape from real-world pain. Others, however, applauded the show for tackling such a difficult subject with sensitivity, sparking important conversations about mental health awareness. Online forums dissected every possible angle. Had Luna's breakdown been foreshadowed enough? Were the 5 words she spoke a reference to an earlier, overlooked moment in the show's history? What responsibility did STEFFY truly bear? The debates raged on, proving just how deeply the storyline had resonated. Mental health organizations saw an uptick in outreach, with many fans crediting the show for encouraging them to seek help or check in on loved ones. In this way, Luna's death transcended the boundaries of fiction, becoming something larger, a cultural moment that forced people to reflect on how they treat those around them. As weeks turned into months, the show didn't let Luna's memory fade. Instead, her absence became a lingering presence, a ghost that haunted the halls of the Forrester mansion. Characters would catch themselves expecting to see her, only to remember with a fresh wave of pain that she was gone. STEFFY, in particular, underwent a profound transformation. The once fierce, sometimes ruthless businesswoman became more introspective, more compassionate. She started a mental health initiative in Luna's name, determined to prevent others from suffering in silence. It was a redemption arc unlike any the show had done before, rooted not in romantic entanglements or power struggles but in genuine, hard-won growth. Finn stood by her side, but their marriage was tested in new ways as STEFFY's grief sometimes manifested as anger or withdrawal. The show didn't shy away from depicting the messy reality of mourning, how it isn't linear, how it can strain even the strongest relationships. And then there were the flashbacks. The writers cleverly wove in glimpses of Luna's happier moments, her laughter at family dinners, her quiet determination in the design studio, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her dreams. These moments weren't just nostalgia, they were a reminder of what had been lost, a life cut tragically short. They also served to deepen the mystery of those 5 final words, as viewers searched these flashbacks for hidden meanings, for clues that might explain why she chose STEFFY as her final confidant. Was it random? Or had there been a deeper connection between them that had gone unexplored? The show teased these questions, keeping fans engaged long after the initial shock had faded. By the time the 1-year anniversary of Luna's death arrived in the storyline, the characters had changed in ways both subtle and profound. STEFFY had found a new purpose in advocacy, but the guilt still lingered. Ridge and Brooke had grown closer, their own past conflicts seeming trivial in the face of real loss. Thomas had thrown himself into his work, using creativity as an outlet for his grief.